Hello and welcome to Odds Serie A Matchday 5. Ready to analyze this new match day with Daniele Fisichella after the Milan derby. And my question, Danny, is if Ivan Provedel the striker that Italy is looking for?
Well, he might be because what a header! I mean, many center forwards will be jealous of him. What a performance! But he's been excellent against Atletico Madrid in both boxes because he's also made a few saves. Look, let me tell you, it could not have happened to any other team but Atletico. I mean, they are so unlucky. But Provedel, really deserves full marks this season.
He was a striker when he was younger. Probably Morata could learn something from Provedel's header. Well, jokes apart, there is a lot to talk about in Italian football. Napoli suffering, but with a good performance in the Champions League, the Milan derby, and so on and so on. So let's not waste any time. Remember to ask any question to Dani Fisichella. And of course, don't forget to press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. And also don't forget that we have a special offer with 1xBet. Here you can read welcome bonus with 1xBet of 130%. Use our promo code Oddspedia YouTube. We have the link in the description. We have already one hater of Arnautovic. Arnautovic is so bad.
Didn't play very well yesterday. We'll go into that, Dina, as soon as we talk about Inter.
Yes, first of all, we have two games on Friday, not very appealing, if I have to be honest. We have Salernitana Frosinone, a clash in the south of Italy, with Salernitana only 2 points, conceding a lot of goals. Actually, they've conceded goals in every single game against Frosinone. One of the biggest surprises in this start of the season, 7 points, and not only that, they are the masters of coming back. They beat Sassuolo 4-2, and they were 2-0 down.
What a surprise, Sassuolo, and Frosinone. Everyone tipped them to go down, me as well, but in the last few days of the transfer market, they got few interesting players. They like Khedira, Suale, of course. They obviously got Gelli, who's a good player. They got showing a lot of great spirit, and Di Francesco has found a way to let them play. But okay, the season is always very, very long. We'll have to wait and see. But so far, yes, they're doing a great job. And now they play against Salernitana, who for the first time lost back-to-back games. They were defeated 3-0 by Torino. First defeat at home since 19 February, so 8 games unbeaten came to an end, and it was a bit of comical defending from Salernitana against Torino. Torino was much more clinical. Salernitana had more possession, but without their main striker, Boulaïdia, who should be back for this one at least on the bench. Maybe they could get a little bit better, but you can tell they do lack an outlet there. Dia scored 14 goals last season. Salernitana never been a very good defending side, but last season they were able to outscore a lot of teams, and they were able to manage to get a lot of draws. Only 1 clean sheet for Salernitana in the last 11 games. And now Frosinone, first time in Serie A, they won a game after going behind. They are unbeaten in 3 games with a lot of young players, and the numbers look good. They are third for expected goals in Serie A, although they are 12 for shots. So they are able to take shots in very good positions where they actually look like scorings. But on the other hand, they're also the teams whose keeper has made more saves. So again, let's take the numbers with a pinch of salt. Frosinone are still a side that concede chances, that concede opportunities to the opposition. They will be without 2 important players for this game, without Arrui and without Gelli. It's been very, very good so far. But, if you compare Frosinone to, for example, the last few times they've been in Serie A in 2018, 2019, 0 points in 4 games, only 1 goal scored. Now, of course, they scored in every single game. They have played 3 games at home. Frosinone only 1 away. So now it's going to be a test because they're going to have a few away games coming. So let's see. Both to score for me here. 194. I think Salernitana might not lose this one, but when it comes to Salernitana, very rarely is a 0-0 or an under, and Frosinone, they're going to go for it. Both to score. 194.
Difficult to go for the outright market here. Dina is telling us that Salernitana is a shark. When I bet on them, they will find a way to lose. Well, they are not a very reliable team. We know that. And on Friday, also a relegation 6-pointer. I guess, because Lecce right now they are 4th in the standings with 8 points, still undefeated. They won the 2 games played in Via del Mare against Lazio and against Salernitana, and Genoa surprised us with that draw against Napoli, going ahead 2-0 with Retegui. Dani still scoring in Serie A.
2 teams that have surprised us a lot, because probably not many people expected Lecce to be unbeaten after 4 games, and also not many people expected Genoa to take 3 points from Lazio and 1 point from Napoli, the 2 top 2 sides last season in Italy. But so it went, and let's start with the Salentini, with Lecce, with the home side. They looked transformed under Roberto D'Aversa. They are playing slightly more attacking football. They've scored 7 goals already. Krstovic scored 3. Last season, they scored 33 goals in 38 games. So they were often winning games by 0, but suffering a lot. This time, they become more clinical, if you like. I mean, they're not Barcelona tiki-taka or Manchester City. They are still a team that averages 23 minutes of ball possession. Only Verona, Cagliari, and Genoa are keeping the ball less well, but they are 8th for shots taken in Serie A. So what happened is that basically they become clinical. When there is an opportunity to take a shot, they become a little bit more precise, put more crosses into the box. They create more chances. I think at the weekend they were a little bit lucky against Monza. They went down to 10 men. Baschirotto got sent off. He's the best defender they got. Monza should have scored at least twice. And when it comes to Genoa, it's the opposite. They were unlucky against Napoli because for 70 minutes, Napoli didn't have a shot on target. Genoa scored 2. And this is a side that started to show some good character because they do have quality. The likes of Retegui, already 2 goals this season. He looks the business. Gudmundsson, the Icelandic. Malinowski playing behind him. We're still waiting to see Messias, who's dealing with an injury. And the 2 wing-backs of Genoa also are quite attacking. Strootman in the middle of the park gives them a little bit of stability. Bottom for shots on Serie A, only 24. But I think they're going to get better. They're going to climb up the table, especially with the front 3. These teams are lucky because they don't need a win here. Nobody's desperate for a win. Yes, it's a relegation 6-pointers, but this maybe could result into a cagey game. Maybe Lecce returns a little bit to the mean, so being a bit stingy. Last season, they only won 3 home matches, and they only scored more than 1 goal at the Via del Mare in 4 occasions. Both of Genoa's away games this season have finished 1-0. They won 1-0 at Lazio, lost 1-0 at Torino. Lecce is without Banda, which is a threat on the left-hand side. I'm going to go for a bet builder here. X2 and under 3.5 goals, 201. 210. That brings it a little bit higher. So to be a little bit creative, I don't think Genoa are going to necessarily lose it, but it's not going to be high scoring.
Well, Lecce, both teams to score an over 2.5 goals. For Chinonso, Dani is trusting Genoa anyway. Not great games on Friday, perhaps to watch Serie A or to go to the cinema or whatever you want to do. There are better games coming on Saturday and Sunday, especially Sunday. On Saturday, the early kickoff is Milan-Verona. After the awful game in the derby, Milan deserved to beat Newcastle in the Champions League. They had so many chances, but they didn't take them. And now, Dani, they have to bounce back at home against Verona. Verona with a very decent start with 7 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Verona much better than what we expected. But let's start with Milan, who were so wasteful against Newcastle, especially Rafa Leao, had 3 glorious chances, and the one when he tried to backheel it instead of shooting on goal. Comparison to when Balotelli, if you remember, in a friendly with Manchester City in the US, in front of goal, tried to backheel it. Mancini went berserk, and Leao, yes, he could have shot 3 times, but also missed a very good header. The problem with Milan is that probably that point, the 2 points lost against Newcastle, I think eventually they'll regret it. They will make a difference in a very tight group. The squad of Milan look deeper. They got more options, but they need to start scoring more goals. It cannot just be relying on Giroud. So I wonder whether this is going to be a chance for Jovic and Okafor. They didn't do really well in the derby. Kept Milan the second clean sheet in 5 games. In the derby, they were outplayed, they were outrunning midfielder. Reinders and Loftus-Cheek suffered completely the rhythm imposed by Inter, and also the defense could be a concern. The return of Tomori in the Champions League was so important, but the pair of Ciao and Kjaer against Thuram and Lautaro really suffered the turn of pace. Pioli is slightly under pressure because he lost. Sorry?
Yeah, already?
Oh, yes. I mean, he lost the 5th consecutive derby against Inter, and also the manner of defeat. They made the same mistakes. Again, played too open, left too many 1-to-1. The idea of putting Calabria in the midfield line didn't really work. And yes, there are question marks whether Milan should have strengthened the defense a little bit more. But looking at the number, last season Milan at home were the best home attack, scored 41 goals, only lost 2 games. They're going to be without Magnan for a couple of weeks, who picked up a muscular injury, but Sportiello made a great save against Newcastle to prevent Longstaff from scoring in the last minute. Probably Loftus-Cheek is not going to play this one. I'm expecting Reinders to come back. Musa, who used to play for Valencia, did well in the second half against Newcastle as well. And now coming to Verona, they are second from bottom for expected goals at the moment. So you can tell they are a little bit lucky. Against Bologna, maybe they deserve to lose. Montipo made a couple of saves. He's the keeper who's second, who made more saves in Serie A. They lost 3-1 to Sassuolo the last away games. Also, when they played at Empoli, they kept a clean sheet, but Empoli hit the bar twice, had chances. Last year, they went to Milano in the last game of the season, lost 3-1, then won the relegation playoff, and that's why they're playing in Serie A. Last season numbers for Verona were appalling away. Worst attack, only 11 goals scored and only 10 points collected. They look better, they look more cohesive with Baroni. I think I like it, the fact that they got 6 strikers that can alternate, the likes of Juric, Bonazzoli, Gonge, of course, and Saponara. Foloruscio probably is a doubt. Also, Mbula used to play for Barcelona. Look, I think eventually Milan, if they continue to create a lot of chances, they're going to convert few more than what they did against Newcastle. I'm going to go for an over 2.5 goals, 182.
Well, let's see if Milan, they are able to bounce back and Pioli is not under pressure anymore. For Ojara, this is a Milan to win and over 1.5 goals. And for Corello, hello, Corello.
Hi, Corello.
Milan Asian handicap -1. He heard you commentating, Danny, the Milan Newcastle. It was you.
Yes, on the UEFA website. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, of course, we have in Oddspedia the top quality that you guys deserve and that UEFA deserves as
also,
well.
Also Alvaro, by the way. Also, I think yesterday I heard
Real Madrid, Union Berlin.
Real Madrid, Union Berlin. So.
I know. Great guys, doing great things. So online, knowing and sharing your knowledge with everyone, Danny. Next one, Sassuolo Juve. I kind of like these odds for Juventus to win, 1.88. Sassuolo, they look doomed with only 3 points, only 1 victory. That defeat suffered in Frosinone after taking the lead with 2 goals scored by Pinamonti. We are going to see Berardi, no, Danny, playing against Juve, the team that he wanted to join in the summer. And Juve, wow, what a goal scored by Vlahovic. Probably both of them, but especially I think was the second one, was brilliant. Brilliant striker when Juve was a bit under pressure after conceding the goal by Lazio.
Yeah, with his weak foot, with his right foot, he scored 2.
Beautiful.
Because apparently he's taking tuition, extra sessions to improve his weak right foot. I mean, that's interesting. Every day is a school day, even for professional players. By the way, you like the Juventus win. I like it as well. And probably lots of people around the world like the odds. In fact, last time I checked, Juventus win was paying 2, and now it's 188. So it's shortening. If you think Juventus are going to win this one, you need to get on this as quickly as possible, because it might go down. By the way, that's my tip. Juventus to win as Sassuolo. I think last weekend, the fact that Inter won the derby so convincingly overshadowed the fact that Juventus were excellent against Lazio and won 3-1, a game that was not easy at all. They were aggressive. They had an excellent pressing. They basically had a game plan that nullified Lazio. They left the ball to Lazio, sat a little bit deeper. Maurizio Sarri's men had 63% of possession, but in the end, Juventus had even more shots on target, so they did exactly what they had to do, and Vlahovic is in form. 4 goals, very good start of the season. As I mentioned, 2 goals with his right foot, connecting really well with the ball. He still has to improve the ball retention, the link-up play with Chiesa, but, he's a striker in form and confident, and that's what Juventus needs. Federico Chiesa, by the way, looks completely recovered from the injury. Locatelli growing into the role of playmaker. Allegri probably has found his best 11 for now, with McKennie as a wing-back, and on the other side, Kostic is pretty much the same team as last season, only sometimes we see the likes of Weah coming on, but yeah, really it's the same 11. The challenge for Allegri is to give them a style of play and to make them play a little bit better, if you like. But Juventus have a big advantage. They don't play in European competition, and now there are a lot of games coming up, because next week there is a midweek round. So, Juventus could really profit from that. Obviously, they need to continue to play with the same confidence. They are normally very reliable when they travel. They won 11 away games since last season without conceding against lower table sides. And Sassuolo, as always, they look unpredictable, shaky, a little bit crazy. They haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 13 games, Sassuolo, since they beat Juventus 1-0 in April. At Frosinone, they were 2-0 up, 2 goals well taken by Pinamonti, who's obviously benefiting of playing again with Berardi next to him. Berardi, who almost joined Juventus in the summer, but then they got beaten. And they only won 2 of the last 15 games in Serie A. Sassuolo, they got also the highest expected goal against. So it is a team that is conceding a lot of chances. Why are the odds so high for Juve? I don't know. Maybe because last season they were rubbish away from home, only scored 18 goals away from home last season. Juventus, only 6 teams scored less than them. Even Cremonese got relegated, scored more goals. But this is a new season. Hopefully, for the Juve fans, it's a new Juve. They won 3-0 at Udine, 2-0 at Empoli. I'm backing them. Juve to win. As I said, when I mentioned it, when I saw it, it was 2. Now it's 188. It's shortened. If you think they're going to win it, get on this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, even Juventus -1, if you feel ambitious, as Ian is telling us, it looks good. Perhaps if Chiesa and Vlahovic are fit, this Juve can fight for the Scudetto. Let's see, still early days. Well, on Saturday as well, we have Lazio Monza, with Lazio having issues, only 1 victory. In Napoli, 3 defeats. Facing Monza, also not the greatest of the stars for Monza, but they had a tough calendar. 4 points, and that in our minds, Danny, as I said at the beginning, that great goal is scored by Ivan Provedel, one of the big stories of the week in the Champions League.
And it's not the first time he scored, because he scored a goal when he was playing in Serie B. So obviously he's used to that. But, between the 4 Italian teams that play in the Champions League, Lazio is the one I like the most. 2 reasons why. They were facing the toughest opponent in Atletico Madrid. They never gave up. I think you could tell during the game that there is a gulf in class between Atletico Madrid and Lazio. An Atletico Madrid with more players available, with a stronger bench, probably wins that game. But Lazio stuck to the task. They were cohesive, compact, kept going, created chances, and gave Atletico Madrid a real game. For me, was the most positive performance of all the Italian teams, because Napoli didn't convince me, really, and they were playing a weak side. But Lazio needs to build on that. You can tell that some mechanisms are not right. For a Sarri team to perform at the highest level, everything has to be right. The distance between midfield, defense, and attack, the press, the movements. You can tell something is not working, and it's not just due to the fact that they're missing Milinkovic-Savic, who went to Saudi Arabia, his physicality, his technique. Something is not right. Last season, they kept 21 clean sheet in Serie A. So far, have kept no clean sheet in Serie A and in the Champions League. And they are basically the same players. Maybe it's the position of Daichi Kamada, the Japanese, who's a brilliant player, but can he play alongside Luis Alberto in a more deep lining role? Immobile look a little bit tired, a bit laggy. Castellanos needs to be given more chances. And yes, now there is the big question mark. How many changes is Sarri going to make week on week? Last season, when they were playing in the Europa League, he was changing half the squad. But now, can he afford doing it? Look at the next fixtures for Lazio. Monza home, Torino, Milan away, Celtic away, Atalanta. So that's almost half of the... It's tough. You know, you lose a Celtic and you lose the next few games. The season starting to become slightly compromised. Monza, as we mentioned before, lucky against Lecce, could not find the goal against the men. Worrying that that the only player that scored is a midfielder. Colpani scored 3 goals. Very good for him, but they need more contribution, especially from Colombo, who they got from Lecce, 6 goals last year, and the wingback Churria, who's now playing on the left, where last season was playing on the right, and he gave 6 assists and scored 6 goals. Palladino really needs to get more from him. They will be without Caprari, Monza, which is a blow considering they're not scoring many goals. Kamada might start on the bench. Maybe this is a chance for Guendouzi. Against Lecce, Monza took 25 shots, which is a record for them in Serie A in the last 42 games. They need a cutting edge. But, you know, Monza, 42 Serie A games played in their history, never involved in a 0-0 draw. And that leads me to think that this is going to be a high-scoring game. Over 2.5 goals, 193.
All right. Corello, Lazio straight win. Lazio, both teams to score for Chinonso and over as well. 2.5 goals. Well, we have more games on Sunday. By the way, we have Serie A next week in the middle of the week. That's why there are no games on Monday. Again, 5 games on Sunday starting from the bottom of the table, Empoli with 0 points against Inter, top of the table with 12 points, 4 victories. But, Danny, we saw a really poor Inter against Real Sociedad. They deserved to lose. We had already one comment criticizing Arnautovic. I guess we are going to see a different Inter here, but, well, they should be careful, no? They put the emblem of the club in front of Real Sociedad because this is the Champions League and Inter has the know-how, but they played really poorly.
Oh, yeah. Only 1 shot on target in the 87 minutes, and that's when the goal from Lautaro came. Inter were without Çalhanoğlu, injured, and I feel Inzaghi made too many changes. He made 4 changes, playing Benjamin Pavard, Aslani instead of Çalhanoğlu, Carlos Augusto instead of Di Marco, and Arnautovic instead of an informed Thuram. Too many changes. Arnautovic disappointed, really didn't hold the ball very well. In the second half, Inzaghi changed it, introduced Sanchez, Thuram. Inter were playing more on the front foot, attacking. But yes, they suffered the pressing for Real Sociedad, and they looked like after the big win in the derby, they were not at the races, especially for the first 60 minutes. So it's a big reality check from Inter. They got away with it. They realize it. But now, obviously, they need a big reaction. Yes, Inter, with such a deep squad, with such a strong squad, it should not be a problem making turnover every 3 days. But obviously, Inzaghi needs to think carefully about the formation he's going to use here. They are full of confidence because they won the derby well, and normally against Empoli they do get results. But Empoli have got a new manager in charge. Well, I tell new manager, he's an old manager because Aurelio Andreazzoli has replaced Paolo Zanetti, but it's the third time he's in charge of Empoli. 2 years ago, he took them to 14th in the table, so he saved them comfortably. Arguably, they had a better squad than now, and they come after a shocking 7-0 performance against Roma. After 10 minutes, they were already 2-0 down. Now, Empoli have been unlucky in terms of fixtures because they played Juve, they play Roma, now they play Inter at home, but the numbers, they don't lie. They couldn't score. They haven't scored anything unless they hit the bar and the post 3 times, conceded 12. Now, Aurelio Andreazzoli is a manager that likes to play attacking football, expansive. This is a young team, slightly naive, not quite good at defending. It looks like it's going to go with a 4-3-2-1 with Baldanzi behind Cambiaghi and Caputo. I think Baldanzi should always play. But, Empoli could, if they're not careful, really suffer another heavy defeat. I remember when Andreazzoli was in charge of them 2 years ago, they conceded 44 goals at home. They were the worst defense, lost 10 games domestically, still managed to get saved. Can they do it? Can they shut down shop? Will Inter be slightly tired? Under 3 goals here. I don't think it might be a massive win for Inter if it's a win. Under 3 goals, that pays 2.
It pays really low, obviously, Inter to win, 1.4, not even that. The bottom of the table, 0 points against the top Inter. Also not high odds if you are backing Atalanta against Cagliari, stingy Cagliari. So far, 2 points, only 1 goal score for conceded for Atalanta. Danny, they won the home game they've played so far, and they lost 2 away. I'm always thrilled by the names that Atalanta have in the attacking line, but they have to deliver.
And they have got another injury blow because Scamacca is going to be out at least for a month, scored 2 goals in the last home games. Bilal Touré, who they got from Almeria, record signing, is out at least for another 3-4 months. So now Gasperini need to work out the attacking lineup. It's only Lukman and Muriel, and obviously the Catalare is going to play many more games. But they play in Europe after 1 year absence. They play against Rakov Częstochowa tonight in Europa League. So this is going to be a test of how deep the squad is. It's always difficult to predict games before they've actually played the game in Europe. They come from 2 wins, 2 defeats, continues the ups and downs. In Florence, they look good, but then they always struggle to calm games down. The games are always very, very frantic. Last year, Atalanta lost 6 home games, conceded 26 goals. So normally, they are not really watertight. But let's see if it's changing this season. Cagliari, on the other hand, they got 2 points on the table. They missed a lot of chances against Udinese with Deiola, hit the post with Luvumbu. Do they have the cutting edge? That's the difference. They need to start converting chances. 3 out of 4 games for Cagliari have been under 2.5 goals. Only 1 goal scored for them. Expected goals 3.67. So maybe things could turn for them. If they're going to get defeated, Cagliari here, I don't think it's going to be a big defeat. That's why I'm going to go for a Asian handicap plus 125 for the visitors, 204. People always ask us in the comments what this 0.5 Asian handicap means. Okay, that means if they lose by 1 goal margin, you win half a stake because there is that 0.25 Asian handicap. If they draw, you win. If they win, you win. So that's a bit different from a +1 or plus 1.5. But on Oddspedia, Edu, when he was a little bit younger, made a fantastic video about Asian handicaps. I would recommend everyone to go and watch it because you learn everything in 15 minutes.
Yeah, maybe only 2 years younger, but I was younger.
You look young.
When I did it. It's too many videos. I get old recording YouTube, Danny, but still having fun, of course. Cagliari is one of the 4 teams without a victory in this Serie A. Another one is Udinese playing at home against Fiorentina. Obviously, Fiorentina, they are favorites. Entertaining game, the last one against Atalanta. It was a thriller, 7 points for Fiorentina. They are also playing in Europe, and that cost them a toll last season. Actually, when they played in Europe and then in Serie A, they had problems.
Yes, and Italiano is going to make changes for this game against Genk in the Europa Conference League, where Fiorentina reached the final last season. Is going to be more space for Beltran, Infantino, the 2 Argentinians, who, by the way, especially Beltran, alongside Arthur Kouamé, affected the games against Atalanta. He made good changes, Italiano, and they managed to turn it around. Now, Udinese, I think they should have lost against Cagliari, although they had a good chance in the second half against Lucca. Only 1 goal scored in 4 games for Udinese. That's the worst tally in their history of Serie A. They never scored so less after 4 games. The expected goal...
Where is Di Natale?
Where is Di Natale, exactly? Or Paolo Poggi, or Abel Balbo, Oliver Bierhoff. I mean, this time it's difficult. They sold Beto to Everton. Haven't really replaced him. Lucca, looks a good prospect. But you need to start putting the ball in the back of the net. It's not just the tidy link-up, etc. No wins in 4 for the first time from 2020 to 2021. Whereas Fiorentina, they are unbeaten in 10 games at home. Last season, their away form wasn't great. They lost 6. And after Conference League games so far this season, they never won. 1 draw and 1 defeat against Milan, against Inter. 9 goals conceded for Fiorentina, no clean sheets. Obviously, the blow of the injury to Yerry Mina is evident because they signed him in the summer to strengthen the back line, and they didn't. They look a bit unbalanced. They got a lot of options up front with the likes of Brecalo, Barak as well coming from the bench, as I mentioned, Kouamé as well. There is a big difference in the expected goal for Fiorentina. They should have scored 4.57 goals less. Now, expected goals don't tell you the story, but it's true that they don't create so many clear-cut chances. And some of the goals they score against Genoa and also against Atalanta were piece of individual brilliance. Udinese are going to be without Cabasele and Bosse, both injured. Pereira, who they released but then signed back in a rush, should be on a bench. I think this is an under 2.5 goals too.
Looks like a draw. This one could be easily 1-1. Avoid Udinese at all costs. For Corello, Chinonso, both teams to score.
Here he is.
But that's way younger. Huh? This is way younger.
More or less.
This is
was that a Camp Nou?
No. This is the Emirates, I believe.
The Emirates. Well, that must have been when we used to work together.
Exactly.
Well, that's unfair. That's like 10 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. No, to Camp Nou, I would go, but I would have to hide my colors, of course, if I go to
in the away section. In
the away section, exactly. Next game, Bologna-Napoli. Napoli deserved to win, Danny, against Braga. They missed so many chances, especially Osimhen. It was a tricky game. Even they were really close to drop points, but they had so many chances. In Serie A, drop points against Genoa, lost to Lazio, and it won't be easy, I guess, to play in the Dallara. No defeats for Bologna, if I'm not wrong. 5 points so far. 1 defeat, actually. For Bologna, only 3 goals scored, only 4 goals conceded. This is not an easy trip, usually, to Bologna.
This is tough. This is a tough game for Napoli. So they don't look quite as good as last season. I think the balance has been upset a little bit. Rudy Garcia asked them to play more directly, hitting Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen quicker. The ball circulation is not as articulate as it used to be. But Napoli leave themselves exposed. They lose the ball up the pitch, and then Lobotka is asked to do more defensive tasks. And the centre-backs pair, whether it's Juan Jesus, Ostigard, or Rachmani, well, let's put it this way. Anybody who plays with Juan Jesus at the moment, he's in trouble. He really miss Kim badly, and we haven't seen the new signing, Nathan. When is he gonna be ready? Napoli scouts, they back themselves. They said they got a good coup, but we need to really see him playing. So far, Napoli are struggling, and last season they had only one more point in the table at this stage of the season because they won 2 and they drew 2. Now they got 7 points, but is the sensation that leaves you that this Napoli side is unbalanced. Yes, they create a lot of chances as they did against Braga, but they also concede a lot. And it took a lucky deflection for Napoli to win that game in Braga against a poor side. Braga are a middle of the table team in Portugal. Napoli should have scored at least 4 or 5. And then in the last minute, Pizzi from Braga hit the post. So again, you can tell these are not great signs. Last season, Napoli started the Champions League campaign with a 4-1 against Liverpool. The defense is conceding a lot of goals. They conceded in 8 of the last 9 games, going back to last season, of course. They have conceded the first goal, Napoli, in 3 of the last 4 Serie A matches against Frosinone, Lazio, and Genoa. Against Genoa, they were lucky to get a point in the end. 2 wonder goals from Politano and Raspadori. I think, by the way, Raspadori is going to play probably from the start, so it would be a good idea maybe to back him to score or to have over 1.5 shots on target. Bologna, on the other hand, they play well. I think is one of the teams that played one of the best brands of football. They do lack cutting edge. That's the problem. Against Verona, had they had a better striker, someone with a little bit more cool head, they probably would have won it. So Motta should be disappointed with that. But, last season at home, Bologna were very good. 30 points, only 14 goals conceded, best home defense with Inter, and they took points against all the top teams. They beat Fiorentina, they beat Inter, Lazio, Milan, Juve, Roma, Napoli. So they got a habit, really, of not being intimidated against top sides. Now, injuries-wise, Rachmani will be injured for Napoli. So it's again Ostigar, the Juan Jesus, unless Nathan plays. And for Bologna, maybe a chance for Orsolini. Last season, top goal scorer, 11 goals, doesn't start many games so far. Over 1 goal in the first half for me, 183. I'm going for a cautious approach.
Well, Napoli to win for Chinonso, this is around 2.0. Let's see if this Napoli under Rudy Garcia reacts and gets the victory in the Dallara. Double chance for Milan and under 3.5 goals. Also, Osimhen has to score the chance that he missed in Braga. And the last game is Torino-Roma with really high odds for Roma to win. It won't be easy. Decent start for Torino with 7 points, 2 victories, 1 draw and 1 defeat. They thrashed Salernitana 3-0 in the last away game, whereas for Roma, Dani, they scored all the goals against Empoli, finally with Dybala fit, with Lukaku scoring, even if they still have some issues with the injuries. I guess they showed what they are capable of if they have the good players in the pitch.
With Dybala and Lukaku, everyone looks happier, but especially when Dybala is around. Score 2, hit the crossbar. Yeah, everything looks much better for Roma. They got an outlet there, and Lukaku took his goal very well. Now, obviously, they need to confirm and repeat themselves, but they'll have to do it after a long trip, maybe a tough trip against Sheriff Tiraspol, a game that we analyzed in the previous video about Europa League, which you can go and watch, where Mourinho is going to make changes. Jose Mourinho, who, by the way, since the 7-0 win against Empoli, already complained about the fact that his team hasn't played really well against Empoli. Then he complained against the FA because they played this game at Torino on Sunday, but there is any other time they could have played because there is a midweek round afterwards. And then yesterday in the press conference before the Europa League game, they said, well, in Budapest, the final, we didn't really lose it. So, although Sevilla won it. So there's always something going on, but it's a strategy,
Mourinho, the special one.
Yeah, to attract everything on himself and try to isolate Roma, who are in a difficult moment, I think, because the team is in transition. There are some new signings that are getting used to it, the likes of Aouar, Sanchez. They got a few injuries to deal with, especially Pellegrini, Kumbulla, Smalling. So the squad might look a little bit thin. And this game against Torino, I think, is a tough one because Torino will going to be more rested. It is a very energetic and dynamic team. Against Salernitana, we saw them playing really well. They were clinical and they were intense. And they got, I think, two players that are really, really in form. Radonic already scored 3, and Zapata, who didn't score against Salernitana, but the movements were really good. And then in midfield, you got quantity and quality, the likes of Tameze, Bellanova, Ricci, Lazzaro, Bellanova. These are all young players that are gonna really impose a high rhythm to the game. I think also Torino gets back Ilic and Vlasic, so full squad, and they do look good. Now, away from home, Torino are really good. They won 5 of the last 6. The challenge is to bring this into Stadio Olimpico di Torino, where they've only won 2 of the last 9, because sometimes when they have to play against teams that sit back, they do struggle to find the openings. But maybe Roma is going to be different. Let's see. It could be an over 2.5 goals. I'm going to be for a cautious one here. Over 2 goals too. I like it because, I mean, there is always the parachute. If he ends 1-1 or 2-0, either way, you get your money back. But yeah, it could be well be an over 2.5 goals. So over 2 for me. That pays 2.
Yeah, Chinon's also over 2.5 goals, and Roma double chance in this case. Both teams to score for Ian. Yeah. So most of the people here also, Mamin, going for Roma and plus 1.5. I guess these are goals. Let's see if we see goals in the last game. Danny, your best bet?
My best bet is for the Juventus game. They travel to Sassuolo. Sassuolo, Juventus over 1.5 goals. 1-6. What's that? No. But that was but we need to explain it. I mean, someone has been through my Facebook, but this is Movember. That was a charity challenge in the UK. You grow a mustache for November. That's called Movember. Not only in the UK, around the world, to raise money to raise awareness about men's mental health.
Nice picture.
And I look like El Chapo, but yeah.
Yeah, like El Chapo, like Pablo Escobar, something like this.
Yes. Thanks to the producer.
And your Aka, Danny?
My Aka is Salernitana Frosinone over 1.5 goals, Milan to win against Verona, Udinese Fiorentina double chance X2, Torino Roma first half 1x. The total odds, the Aka is 378. You might see it on the screen, otherwise catch it later on the YouTube channel. Here it is. So let's repeat it. Here we go. You can see it. You'll see later on the shorts anyway.
There you go. Then, Danny, thank you very much. See you next week a couple of times because we have 2 match days. Yes. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Press the like, subscribe, and follow us in the social media. Bye-bye.
Ciao.